living with it for a long time, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. We are getting to the stage where, we've got technology that's working with us.
It's made in heaven for a farmer. It's sort of like having a shepherd out there in your flock the whole time. It's an extremely risky business now if you're going to, continue a career in thieving sheep.
Hello, I'm Tim Lee. Next week on Landline, Australia's wool industry enters the digital age.
It's really important that the data really supports the growers, the brokers, the exporters, and ultimately the mills that are receiving this product. So it really is going to be a game changer for the industry, and I think for the better.
G'day, I'm Matt Brand. Livestock prices fell sharply this week as cattle and sheep numbers continued to pour into sale yards around the country. The benchmark Eastern Young Cattle Indicator is now $4.65 a kilo behind this time last year and has fallen nearly 50% from its record high achieved in early 2022. Lamb prices fell and the National Mutton Indicator collapsed by 86 cents. The recent sheep sale at Deniliquin, it made headlines after some lambs there sold for as little as $20 a head. But it got even worse on Tuesday with some small merino lambs getting just $5 a head and the plainest sheep in the yards sold for $8 each. So are these fall in prices purely because of increased supply? It's a question I put to MLA's Ripley Atkinson.
Certainly supply is playing a major role. When you look at the yardings for both sheep and cattle this week and last week, we've had 2 consecutive weeks that have been delivering really high supply to the market. And we know the herd and flocks are rebuilding and growing on the back of 3 really strong seasons. So the necessity to buy and compete heavily on stock is weakening because of the improved numbers on farm and also the improved numbers coming through the sale yards. So people don't need to be, or buyers don't need to compete as heavily to access stock. They can be more selective in what they choose.
In some positive news for the goat industry, demand is on the rise and abattoirs are getting busy. The weekly Eastern States goat slaughter has not been this high since March 2017, and a big reason for this is China, which has developed a taste for Aussie rangeland goat. In terms of overall red meat exports, China has been Australia's biggest customer this year by a fair margin. 54% of its meat imports so far have been beef. In the live export trade, prices remain fairly steady out of Darwin. Feeder steers are fetching about $3.70 a kilo. Broome is getting ready for its first cattle ship of the year next week. I'm told the steer price there is about $3.50. Now, when cattle from Northern Australia are below $4 a kilo, and remember, it takes about 3 to 4 days to ship them to Indonesia, it's hard to see these sort of headlines becoming a reality. Indonesia is once again looking to source live cattle from elsewhere, but do the economics stack up? According to Global Agri-Trends, Brazil is struggling to compete on price even in the box beef trade to Indonesia. And as you can see here, the spread between Brazil and Australian cattle prices is tightening fast. Now, you can never rule out a trial shipment from Brazil happening soon, but long term, it would be very challenging for Brazil to compete on price. Maybe Kenya might have more luck. Its government says it's hoping to ship 20,000 head to Indonesia this August, and it is closer than Brazil by more than 10 shipping days. Sugar futures had a steady week. Tully Sugar says, weather permitting, its crushing season should start within a fortnight. I'm told demand for barley remains consistent and some of the international price rises for wheat appears to be sending local prices the same way. And finally to wool, where 25% of bales offered were passed in this week, which is not good. AWI says demand at the moment is slow and sluggish. A strengthening Aussie dollar didn't help either. The EMI fell by 2% and prices fell even further in the west. That is the Landline check on prices. Keep it rural.
During the gold rushes, Hill End in New South Wales boasted a population of 8,000. Now it's around 100. Many of the residents are artists and writers drawn to the area's natural beauty. Among them is painter and 9 times Archibald finalist Danelle Bergstrom, who is inspired by what she sees and feels in the bush. Producer Catherine Hunter takes us into Danelle's world.